everyone, and welcome to Stay on the Line, a horror genre podcast hosted and created by me, Terrah, and we always talk about something horror genre related every week. And oh my god, I don't know how I managed to do this, but I am welcome with an amazing guest. It's Chelsea Rebecca from Dead Meat. Hello! How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. We just struggled to get technology together, but now we are pretty much set, hopefully.
We're perfect. Okay. You look like a beautiful, seahorse mermaid kind of coral
Thank
creature.
you. The whole thing was inspired by coral. I have, it's texture. It's like Marie Antoinette. I don't have the hoop cage on. I think that'd be a lot for just sitting down.
Yeah, so. Just sitting, yeah. I feel like when you sit in those, I feel like half the time the bottom just pops up and then all you see is the skirt with your legs sticking out.
Well, okay, so I made mine out of, this has nothing to do with anything. I made mine out of...
No, this is good. Okay. I sew and I make costumes, yes, so this is I'm going to derail this shit so hard if we start talking about costumes.
I saw your Game of Thrones costumes that you made, so
yeah.
I made, have you ever made a hoop skirt before?
I have, yeah.
Okay, I made mine out of PEX piping, PEX piping.
Mm-hmm.
Used PEX piping, and I made side hoops. Side hoop cage? What are those called?
Oh, the panniers.
Yeah, I made those for this outfit. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. I've never made pannier. Is that how you pronounce it? It's one of those words where I've seen it written so many times, and I'm probably pronouncing it the most Midwestern
I didn't even know the word, so your guess is as good as mine. On my podcast...
It's the side butt.
Yeah, the side butts. On my podcast, your name could literally be Betty Sue, and I would not know how to pronounce it. I'm so bad. And, okay, so... If you don't know who Chelsea is, okay, let me explain it to you. Chelsea is... Hold on, I got some stats, and I'm going to read them. Oh, God, I put the gloves on. It kind of makes it hard to...
if you don't know me, then you probably just don't hang out in a very specific area of horror internet, so that's fine.
And you're not cool. Oh! Okay, so Chelsea Rebecca is part of Dead Meat, which is a channel on YouTube. I got that your podcast, the Dead Meat Podcast, is ranked number 6 in film reviews on Apple Podcasts. That's all of the U.S., And
no, we're not.
Yes.
Number 6? Are you serious?
Number six. And you
Holy
guys have been
shit.
steady, number 6 for a very long time, too. So, y'all, leave some reviews. We got to get them up. Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I know that. I don't check that. I get nervous. I don't Google myself or the podcast ever.
I mean, I don't blame you. But I was like, I'm going to interview her, so I might as well. And you are ranked in the top 100 TV and film podcasts on Apple as well. You're at 60 something.
Oh
so
my
that's just TV and film, not reviews. TV and film. Dead Meat
Crazy.
Is ranked in the top 100, and you're also in the top 20 of TV and film on Spotify too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You have over 20 plus million views on your podcast. And what's something amazing? You used to think that hippos could take down helicopters. So.
I did. Oh my gosh. I'm 2 things. One, I want those stats from you so I can show them to our advertisers in an attempt to get more money from them.
Yeah, you know what? I will.
Damn.
It was courtesy of Podbay, but you can also just look on iTunes or Apple Podcasts.
That's
true,
and
it shows you. I literally was scrolling through everything I could find. So
we were briefly the number 1 film podcast in Mongolia. I don't know how long that lasted, but I have always kind of dreamed of doing a live show in Mongolia for that reason.
Yeah, I have some viewers in the most random places, and you know what? Mm-hmm. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Mongolia.
Yeah, I think Mongolia's making the dream happen.
Yeah.
2, yeah, I did believe that about hippos. It's one of those things where once you say something out loud that I think is a deeply held belief from either childhood or just something that you maybe read and misinterpreted and didn't think about it too hard, you just realize how insane it is, and you can't believe you carried that around for that long. You just never think about it.
I mean, can I be honest with you? I did not know that there was an artery in your leg until yesterday. Because I was listening to the Texas Chainsaw without the space, your review of the Texas Chainsaw 2022, and y'all were like, how can she survive? Because that went in through her artery. And I was like,
oh yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
If you get your leg like punctured or your thigh specifically, if you're getting your leg chopped off there or like you get super injured right there, if that artery gets hit, you bleed out in, I forget how long it is. It's like really quick.
This makes a lot of sense because you watched, what's that one movie with Brittany Snow?
X?
No, not X. That's a good movie though. I can't wait to see Pearl.
Me too.
What's the other one where I think she was a producer on it.
Oh my god, all I can think of is Hairspray, and I know it's not Hairspray.
No, okay, it's when it's like they have to do awful things for money.
Oh, Would You Rather?
Would You Rather?
With Jeffrey Combs, yeah.
Yeah. The old lady gets stabbed in the leg, and I think y'all said on the commentary something about it, but I was like, okay. And then when I listened to the podcast yesterday, which I have like 20,000 hours locked in on listening, so make sure y'all use their codes for
yes,
for things.
all
I used it for
advertising
stamps,
codes.
and I used it for if they ever want to sponsor me, Diet Smoke. I don't think they sponsor right now. But, yeah.
Those do taste really good.
Oh, I take one every single night. That's probably not good for me, but okay. So, Chelsea, yes, great, amazing person. Podcast is wonderful. If you, for some reason, have listened to this podcast and not theirs, go listen to it. They're pretty funny.
Those people exist.
Yeah, all two of them. All two of them are here, and you are also on D&D podcast as well. D&D podcast.
D&D,
which is my other second most streamed podcast. So.
Oh my, that's amazing.
I thought about making a Zabas outfit. Remember when y'all used to say Zabas?
Yeah. Did it used to be? I feel like I always wanted it to be Zap.
Zabbis.
I don't remember, honestly. We can't even remember how his last name is spelled. I forget what we settled on.
Yeah.
I've thought about making an outfit. That's my D&D character. He's an elf.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like 75 years old, which in elf years is basically a teenager. So he's kind of going through, he's like constantly in a phase. Like he had kind of a little goth phase for a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's just very melodramatic and wants to be the center of attention, and he's just so much fun. And I have thought about making a Zavis costume as well, but the blue skin is tough.
Okay, I use...
Yes, please tell me what you would use for something like that, because...
This palette, right? It's a cream palette. It's like, the original brand that has this is Makeup Forever, and it's like $99, but this on Amazon is like $16. So what I do when I do like a color face, like I was a cactus once, I just used the green in here. But this comes with a dark blue and a light blue. So you can use that. It comes with a white too, so you can use that all for your face. And then I would probably just recommend like blue fabric for everything else.
Yeah, so. like skin tight gloves.
Just contour. You just make sure you contour the face, because sometimes cosplayers don't do that.
And it's just the flat color. Yeah.
But I have faith in you. Oh, okay. So I was doing research because journalism degree. Hello, I got to use it.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I was like, let me look up some trivia about Chelsea. And
oh my gosh, I'm so curious.
Well, I was expecting like you've worked on Cameo. You've done all this production stuff. Besides you being in Scream 5, which we'll talk about later. The one thing that popped up was on September 14th, 2021, Chelsea had gotten food poisoning, which is why the podcast isn't released that week. So I was...
Wait, was that from the Dead Meat Wiki or something?
Yes.
Why was that there? We've skipped the podcast. We've had like weeks off before. I don't know why that one was very notable. It did... I literally... Actually, today, when I woke up, I randomly was thinking about that week I had food poisoning and asked James, like, yo, do you remember that? That sucked.
Yeah.
Like,
food poisoning is
so
not
weird.
A joke. I fully had food poisoning
awful.
And I could not, like, move my lower half of my body.
Yeah, I am also terrified of throwing up.
Same.
I have a deep fear of it. I think the sensation is awful. Other people throwing up doesn't really bother me. I can take care of someone if they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's all fine. But the sensation of barfing is... I don't know why it terrifies me so much.
You would hate this experience I went through when earlier this year I got food stuck in my throat and they were constantly like, throw it up, throw it up, throw it up. And I just could not get anything up. Mm-hmm. And it was like that for 9 hours in the ER. And then they eventually, I passed out from exhaustion in a chair and then they woke me up and they're like, we got a bed for you.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I found out I have a chronic illness that affects my throat. So,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to my ill bitches.
Yeah.
I'm the bitch. I'm the bitch. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, what is something you would want to add to that trivia knowledge? I feel like we need something a little bit better than...
I know. Then I was throwing up because I ate food from an Italian deli by my house. That's a good question. What's like a fun fact about me? All the ones I'm thinking of now are like ones that over the years, as I've worked other jobs that are not dead meat, where you have to do getting to know you exercises and you do the kind of 2 truths and a lie bullshit where they're all just boring and safe for work kind of, or just things where it's
I'll
like,
make sure not to play that right after this.
I speak German. I mean, we could do that.
No, I'm
I
fucking
mean, that's the thing is we don't have an HR department on the podcast, so we can get a little bit weirder or like more eccentric at least, where you're not my coworker and you're not like, who is this weird person I just started working with? I don't know. I have synesthesia. A lot of people have synesthesia, so I don't know if it's that exciting, but where I associate colors with like letters and numbers and stuff. Have you heard of that before?
No, when I thought of synesthesia, I was like, does that make you like very sinful but sleepy at the same time? Like anesthesia? So, my communications degree. Yeah. So
yes,
what is that?
yes,
what is that?
Sleepy and simple.
Yeah.
It's apparently, I'm not exactly sure of the science behind it, like how it works exactly, but I think it's like your brain's wires are crossed a little bit and you experience like sensory associations with certain things that other people may not. So like, for example, if I look at the alphabet, I can tell you what color I think each letter is. Like they're all distinctly a color to me. It's not that I can physically see that color, but to me it's like, oh, like the letter A is obviously red.
I almost just said something very stupid. I was like, is there that many colors? Yes.
No, there's also not like a no repeats law either.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so that could be added to your trivia.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Like I can do this. I can clap with one hand.
I can
'Cause I have
clap
really
with
long
both
fingers.
cheeks. So
Oh.
I can't though. I can't. My thighs do clap. I'm a plus size girl. My thighs do clap if I run downstairs very fast though. So
Perfect.
I'll put that on my trivia on the Terrah wiki.
Oh, you're gonna wake up everyone because you can't stop your thighs from clapping.
Someone shut her up. I'm like the chicken in the morning. If you hear me running downstairs, that's when to get up. I do have real quick would you rather things before we hit the ground hitting questions. The ground hitting, the hard hitting.
Before
sports.
we hit the ground with hard hitting questions.
Yeah, when we hit the ground with the baseball bat and make sure we get the touchdown. So my first would you rather is, would you rather have to house sit at the house from the movie House 1977, love that movie,
Ooh.
or would you rather house sit from the house from, this is so a tongue twister, House on Haunted Hill, but the 1999 version for a week? It has to be a week for either one.
Oh boy. Okay, so let's recap in case someone's listening and hasn't seen one of these or either. The house from the film House, and we're talking the Japanese film, not the, is a...
Someone turns into a watermelon.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's a really pretty house. It's owned by this older woman with a cat. And basically, I feel like if you're house sitting there, you're going to get kind of tormented by all of the inanimate objects in there. And you're going to see, God, I feel like it's been so long now since I've seen it. And it's also such a fever dream of a movie that I can't remember exactly what happens.
Don't play the piano.
Don't play the piano, exactly, because I get sucked into it.
Don't go to bed. The bed will kill you.
Yeah, you can't, just don't sleep. The cat will try and fuck you up, too. What was the second one again?
House on Haunted Hill, but the 1999 version.
I always mix up House on Haunted Hill and... this isn't the insane asylum one, right? This is like the house with is it Liam Neeson is in this one?
No, this is the insane asylum where it looks like a Scooby-Doo movie. Like the inside looks like a Scooby-Doo movie.
Yes, okay. Ooh. No, that one scares me too much because that's the one where they find all the like creepy stuff in the basement where they Or like this is where they had patients
Yeah.
in the past and kind of, oh no, that movie is not great, but I think there's really scary parts.
I don't think
it.
it's that bad. It has like a 2% on like Rotten Tomatoes or something.
It deserves better than that,
Yeah.
I think. There's some very creepy imagery in that movie.
Yeah.
Like there's no that movie. I would pick House because then I would also get to go to Japan.
Yeah.
So
You know
that's
what?
my strategic choice.
I lived there for 14 years. It's a lovely place. You should go.
Well, you lived in Japan for 14 years.
I did, yes. My
my
dad was in
God.
the military. My mom was a teacher too. So I lived.
Okay.
Everyone thinks like, oh wow, did you live in Tokyo? Did you live in? No, I lived way up north in the fucking like farms and like it was
my
nothing crazy. It
gosh.
was a bunch of snow, which you know a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Snow that's like higher than buses, like double-decker buses, like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But it was fun.
Do you speak any Japanese or?
No.
Oh no.
I'm a failed
I mean,
child.
I guess if you're also in kind of a more remote area, the immersion is going to be a lot harder than if you're in like a city and there's people everywhere and it's constant like.
No, I think I'm just stupid. I think that's the real excuse.
No.
Because like my family is like I'm first generation from Spain, and I don't know a lot of Spanish. Granted, I'm on my Duolingo. I'm at my like 150-day streak, but I should be fluent in it, and I am not. So.
That's, my parents grew up with parents that English was their second language, and it's, neither of my parents learned their kind of parents, because it can be a thing too, where when you come here, it's like, no, we got to make sure the kids like assimilate, and that it's like, we're American now. At least that was the case with my parents' parents. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's so I did not know that about you.
Yeah. I'm like just an enigma. Don't ask me how to spell it though. I don't know. So I have one more. Would you rather? Say you are living in a rural desert area with Lucy and James. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have to deal with a graboid from Tremors, or would you rather have to deal with the spectacle from Nope?
Ooh.
Both are not lovely ways to die.
No. Okay, because there are ways, and because these movies also remind me of each other. Spoilers for Nope, too.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Because I'm about to tell you how to kind of defeat the thing in it. Because there's ways to get around both, and there's ways to defeat both. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, I don't know. I don't know which one, like, kind of would be more difficult for us to live around or live with.
Because I had to think about it like this. Okay, are we dealing with one graboid or like three, like in the movie? I think we just say one.
I think just one, but still I feel like you have to build like a fucking obstacle course to defeat it, though. Yeah. Like they have to turn that whole town into like a big, like a mousetrap kind of contraption. I'm gonna pick, I think, Nope, because at least, and again, spoiler, I'm literally about to ruin the end of the film. If you just blow up a giant balloon and just send it up there, it'll eat it and just die.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least, it has to be a balloon that looks like a person, but...
And you kind of, like, I guess if it was a graboid, you'd kind of have to live like the people in...
like A Quiet Place a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, or instead of worrying about making noise, it's like you gotta set up things to step onto.
Yeah.
And, oh no.
A fart could kill me.
Yeah.
My clapping legs.
Yeah, your thighs. You'd be so doomed in A Quiet Place.
Okay, yeah. I'm so glad I don't live in that universe. Honestly, I haven't seen the movie yet. I know, I'm awful. But
wait, A Quiet Place?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I don't think I could live through that.
I couldn't either. The first A Quiet Place is very good. I did not like the second one.
Wow, drag her.
Which is, a lot of people like the second one better, and good, that's fine. It's just not for me. But yeah, I would be so fucked. I could not survive in that world.
I'm telling Cillian Murphy, we're best friends.
Man, he was the big draw for me too. Cillian Murphy. He's like, great, if anything, I'm gonna go see it for him, and then there's a good sequence in it.
Okay. Well, shout out to Cillian Murphy. If you're listening, Chelsea's a huge fan. She loved you in Red Eye.
Yes. Love Red Eye. Oh my gosh.
Don't stab me in my throat, though. Wait, no, you got stabbed in your throat. I won't stab you in your throat, Cillian. Mm-hmm. I promise. Okay, so I have some more, I guess, serious questions. Dun, 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 dun. I wanted to ask, because you have been podcasting for about almost 5 years. since
That sounds right.
2018, February 2018. And I mean, the D&D podcast has kind of been going on for the same thing. So I wanted to ask you, with this journey of doing the podcast for so long, what's been your favorite part of this journey so far, especially with the Dead Meat podcast?
I feel like it's been realizing that, I guess, as the years go by and there's kind of that worry of like, oh man, do I need to keep almost one-upping myself in terms of how interesting it is or what I am doing. I guess the worry of people deciding like, oh, this is just kind of samey and I'm over it and it's not as fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that over the years, it's like, that's not the case. And in fact, I've found that people are really receptive when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna maybe even change up, not necessarily the format, but I'm just gonna do more of like what I think sounds fun versus what I think maybe everyone really wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually ends up being that what people want to listen to is what I think is fun and what interests me that specific week. And so I think that's been a really cool thing, is feeling very reassured that this audience that we have doesn't feel like they are owed any specific kind of content, or it's all been very low pressure so far, and I'm so grateful for that, because that's not always the case when you are making stuff and you are releasing things consistently on like, you know, a weekly or bi-weekly basis like we are. And so I think that's been the nicest thing. There's that comfort that, you know, people have stuck around, and I hope will continue to stick around, you know, regardless of what we're doing, as long as our hearts are still in it.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing, because I do love, because I think you've said before that your research episodes are one of your favorite things to do. While we all like to talk about a shitty fucking movie every now and then, House of Wax, like, I do enjoy the research episodes because I feel like I learn a lot. And I even cited the podcast when I was still in school, when I was still in college for my film school, so...
Yeah, the research episodes are a weird thing where I love them, and they're the ones that I'm the most proud of when they're done. They're also the hardest ones to make, and they take a lot out of me. I mean, it feels like writing an essay for college or something, and it's exhausting. And I think
I just reminded myself of the episode of the haunted, or like cursed sets.
Oh, like,
and you were talking about how much you hated the research because of that reason.
It was miserable. So like that one, and it was weird because that one seemed like I'm going to do a more fun research one, because the other ones where it gets more into like, oh, I have to tie this back into American history or film history. It's like, oh man, it's like actual kind of academia type shit, and the research is a lot more intense. I was like, okay, let's do like cursed films. That'll be fun, because I don't believe in curses and things. I'm not like superstitious like that, so it'll be kind of an interesting, like, you know, let's look at this phenomenon and talk about why people think that movies can be cursed. And it ended up being just so fucking depressing, because all the reasons people think movies are cursed is because, like, life happens to people that are in movies, and some of those things are a bit more like macabre than normal, or like someone dies at a young age, but like that just you know, like that's what happens to people. It's not, I think we just as humans really I think we fear something like that happening to us, so we come up with these frameworks like, well, it's because they worked on Poltergeist and that movie was cursed, therefore nothing like that could ever happen to me, kind of feeling.
You won't get stabbed or choked at your own home because you didn't work on that set.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And you said in the episode you could pull that from probably the
Any
Despicable Me movie. Like,
okay, let's do it. Despicable Me. We could probably argue Despicable Me is cursed. It might not be old enough is the thing. I feel like if it's a more recent movie, there hasn't been enough time for like bad shit to happen to people who've worked on it.
Do we want to do Finding Nemo then?
Okay, Finding Nemo. Here we go. I mean, was John Lasseter involved with that? No, it was Andrew Stanton. Let's see, Andrew Stanton. Is your personal life pretty normal? Looks like it.
Something
yeah,
happened.
something fucked up happened to Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I clearly used Nemo for this outfit. So, and I'm the reason his mother's dead.
Perfect.
I think when we see you having fun with the podcast, I think that's when everyone kind of enjoys.
Yeah,
and it's like a symbiotic kind of relationship.
Yeah, and I try not to make myself feel guilty when, for example, someone says like, "Oh, I really like the research episodes," and because then I'll feel bad, like, "Oh no, I don't do more of them." But it's also like I don't want to be making stuff where it's like, "Oh man, I feel like I'm really pulling my own teeth out to just get
you
this
have
done."
Homework. You have homework.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels it. Yeah, and I think right now I'm just enjoying talking about just individual movies each week, especially newer ones, because it's an excuse to like keep up with everything that's come out lately. And also like, talking about movies, like for example, we just talked about Nope. And that movie is, even though that's not like a research episode per se, there's so much going on in that film that you inevitably kind of start delving into, American history, culture, like society, just anthropology almost of like our the entertainment industry and stuff, and what aspects of it really fascinate us. And so I think I'm kind of almost using more specific movies to talk about those topics that people really like, where it gets a bit more like, if people want to say that they think that they've really learned something listening to the podcast, I think we can still do that through like movie reviews.
Yeah. I'm a teacher now.
I will teach you.
I'm a teacher. My question that I have for you is, what part of your content makes you say to yourself, "This is why I do this"? So I kind of tie in with what we were just talking about, being kind of like a teacher, like some people retaining some information. So
yeah, I think what's really, really cool and rewarding is when we hear from fans who maybe, I don't know, kind of think that we've made them think a little bit differently about something, like, how they consume media, or even just more broadly speaking, like the types of people that they're seeing on screen. It's kind of incredible how often I've heard that someone's had their mind changed about how they feel about transgender people after just listening to a discussion we had with a friend of the show, Joan Ford, who's an amazing comedian. She's transgender. She was really generous with her time coming to do an episode with us, and a lot of our audience does skew younger, so it's kind of a thing where maybe someone didn't necessarily feel a certain way because they're young and still trying to understand their place in the world. And at that age, you're so impressionable. You're such like a sponge. You're just absorbing everything, and kind of hearing that we have maybe reached someone who is that very young, impressionable age where they take away this kind of tolerance or respect for people who are different than them, and understanding why stories about different kinds of people are still at their core human stories and still applicable to anyone watching them, even if they're not, it's not like yourself being represented on screen.
Yeah.
And how valuable that is. So I think that's like one of the most rewarding things, I think.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, like, because I reposted that video of you in Nine Ice Kills, which we'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking at the because I just want to follow more like kind of like horror lovers, because I honestly wasn't. I used to be like so into horror, especially younger, and then kind of like middle school, and then I kind of had to fade out when I moved to America because I just had, culture shock, and I was a little anxious about everything. You have kind of got me back into horror, and so I wanted to connect more with people, and I noticed that a lot of people reacting to that video were like kind of like queer people, and I was like, I think the queers, we love Chelsea. I don't speak for everybody, but I feel like, I don't know, like we attach ourselves to, a strong female character.
Oh, that's so sweet. I think, that's not ever something that like I set out intentionally to do, because I do think that I think you can tell when people are even trying to do that, where it's like you're trying to build like that specific audience for yourself, and that always comes off as a bit sinister to me. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like I'm marketing myself as this
politicians
kind of,
like,
Yeah. But I think it also is just horror in general is like a place for whether it's like, misfits or people who don't fit the mold of like what we consider an average person or what we societally consider like an acceptable person, right? Someone who is not afraid to just live their life being who they are. And I think that's horror in general too, is that kind of, because horror, for as long as horror films have been made, has had this kind of queer history too. Like James Whale, who made Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, was openly gay, and the movie Gods and Monsters is about him. It's very, very good. Big recommend. Yeah, I don't know. So I think there's that part to it too. I think it's like, I'm very flattered that it's I have like a certain kind of fan base, but I think it's also because I cover this, this genre and this niche too.
Now, do you ever feel like, because I know I personally enjoyed the kill counts that you did for, oh my god.
It was American Psycho.
Yes.
American Psycho 2, thank you.
But I know you were talking about like some kind of like negative reactions that happened. So do you ever have a situation, especially in this community, because sometimes, like most men in life, men can kind of overpower and take a lot and feel like they represent everything. But I know that there's a lot of women that I know who actually love horror, but I feel like they might get a little pushed out because of kind of people like that, like negative people. So like, how has that been for you, especially with the growing channel, the growing podcast and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of said earlier, I don't Google myself or read things about myself. I am not like James, who can sit and just like read the YouTube comment section. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
He has like his brain is just made of steel. I don't know how he's able to deal with it. I think he just really doesn't take any of it personally, which you shouldn't. It's the internet. It's hard not to, because we're all human. But I don't know. I think I just like the longer that I've been doing this kind of stuff, I have to just remember that, especially like taking over the kill count, which is the main series on Dead Meat, the audience for it is gigantic. It is like the flagship series of the channel, and you just always have to remember, and this goes for like doing anything online or going into, entertainment where you're going to start maybe performing for a bigger audience or getting feedback from more people. It's just, you have to just remember that it's like, it's a double-edged thing where, yes, it sucks when people are mean, but the cool thing is you are doing something and enough people are seeing it to where it's not just the people watching it who are obliged to be nice to you, if that makes any sense. I just have to always remember that I've come so far from just making stuff that like only my friends see or that my parents see, and they're like, this is great, sweetheart,
You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Exactly, yeah. And so while that kind of stuff really hurts and things, people are mean. It's made me cry before. It happens. That's like making stuff online.
Yeah.
But I do have to just choose to take the good from that and be like, you know what? People are watching stuff that I make, and you think of any, even like Tom Hanks. I feel like most people love Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that he is like part of QAnon and like is a lizard person or just, so it's like you can be anyone. You can be
Beyonce even has haters. Like Beyonce has haters. So
yeah. So it is what it is. It's human nature, and you're not gonna make everyone happy, and not everyone's gonna like you. So I think as I get older too, I just don't care as much.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, especially when you're like a stage performer. You have to meet a lot of people, and some people have drama with other people, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I honestly, no offense, I don't care. Especially if I'm not getting paid to care,
Yeah, yeah.
Which, not everything is about money, but sometimes if it's affecting your mental health, it's like, okay, what? I didn't clock in for this, so I'm gonna go home and eat some vegan cookies. So
Yeah, like there's no, yeah, like why bother getting yourself worked, especially because it's like in the long run, no one's gonna remember like some random,
Jason 2185 called me a fat bitch, you know.
Yeah, like you're. Yeah, it's, it's unfortunately, I hate being like, oh, it's the internet, because I don't want to sound like it's a license for, or that it's like okay that people act that way. It's not, but it's like, that's just kind of the reality of making stuff online.
Yeah. But I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, which blink twice, are you okay? Do you need are you still having fun, Chelsea?
No, I'm great. I got my, I'm just surrounded by my Mortal Kombat figurines back here.
Which
and we're
hopefully
great.
you will voice someday.
Oh, that's the dream. I want to be in a Mortal Kombat so bad.
Yeah. How has that journey been for you? So, like, you've kind of been posting on Twitter a lot, like your journey of voice acting. I've listened to when you do like different character ones. I think you did Bart once before.
Oh, yeah, I did Millhouse. I love doing
yes.
Millhouse from The Simpsons. That's James's favorite.
Yeah.
That I would always do for him.
Marge, I can only do Marge if like, oh homie.
Yeah,
like,
that's better than I can do. I think Marge is really hard.
Yeah. But how's the voice acting journey for you? Is it something where you want to do this outside of like the horror genre, right? So like how is that kind of because I don't think anyone should be pigeonholed. Do what you want to do. So like how has that conflicted you in any way, or you're just kind of like, let me go for it, I don't care?
It's honestly actually made me find a lot more joy in dead meat, because it's become where dead meat is not my only thing. And I need variety personally to kind of stay interested in something.
Yes.
So it's felt a bit like less routine, I think, going back to dead meat like every week, every other week to do the podcast when I also have this other stuff that I'm pursuing. I think it keeps my daily life from feeling kind of, samey week to week. I think too what's been really cool is as I've been, taking voice classes, kind of networking with voice people, it's a neat thing to not just be a voice actor, to be like, hey, I have this whole other thing that I also do, and this is my interest, and it is nice to kind of have some variety to offer people if you're, talking to like industry people, I guess. It makes you stand out a bit, and I think it just adds some dimension to the stuff that I'm making. But it is also nice to just, get outside the realm of just, horror all day, every day. Because, again, it helps me when I return to horror. I find such renewed joy in it.
You feel missing it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it is a little bit of absence makes the heart grow fonder a little bit, for sure. I think I have, kind of more energy for it, more, it feels a lot more fun. Like, I'm feeling more of the excitement that I felt initially, like when we first started doing all of this, instead of letting it become routine. I really think I needed to shake it up a little bit. And instead of like that being, oh, I'm totally revamping the entire show or totally changing what I do on the channel, or God forbid not doing it at all anymore. Instead, it's like, I'm going to pursue this entirely separate thing.
Yeah.
And
you can do both. Women can do both, people. Chelsea and I are going to go to an ad break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking more about, about Chelsea.
More about me.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast, where we're going to talk more about me.
Me? Well, not me. No, we're going to be talking about me, M-I-I. We're going to be talking about Nintendo. So.
Yes, we're going to talk all about me's, all the history of Nintendo me's.
I don't know anything.
I don't either.
I don't know anything. I'm hoping to see some more acting from you, voice-wise, and also with Nine Ice Kills.
It's Ice Nine Kills.
Ice Nine Kills. There's my dyslexia coming through. I'm thinking of like 9 Inch Nails too. So sometimes I'll be like 9 Inch Kills. I'm like, yes,
9 Inch Kills, yes.
But you were recently in the shower scene. So if you haven't watched that, I'm putting it in the show notes. Go watch it. It's a music video, but then it also goes into like an acting. You played Officer Ophelia.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So I never knew that you were like a screamer like that. That sounds so weird out of context. But
yeah, sounds... for
sure. Like, but I didn't know that you... I sound like the guy from Creep. I'm like, I didn't know you had that in you.
Yeah. Well, like, I think that whole, like, part of it... So I get murdered in a shower by, like, an acid shower, kind of. It's, like, almost like an acid bath, and I just get dissolved to death. And it's really gory and awesome, and the makeup was super, super cool.
Yes.
But that part of it... Because I like straight up on-screen acting. I enjoy it. I do find it kind of stressful because it's just a whole different thing compared to voice stuff. But weirdly, that's where most of my experience acting is like just random crap on screen. And so it was like we'd filmed all the dialogue, and then they're like, okay, we need you to scream. And I was like, okay, great. That's the thing I know I can do. Yeah. Like, I think because it's like, that's all, I mean, that's physical acting, but that's all, like, you got to have the right sound, the right, especially it's like a straight up horror thing. And I was like, okay, great, I can do that. That's perfect. And that was like the easiest part, weirdly.
Yeah. Which part of that was kind of like your favorite part in the making of that? That was either like the behind the scenes or your initial reaction to seeing the end product on YouTube. Like, which part of it was like, oh, I kind of ate this shit up. Like, I kind of did that.
Yeah. I think it was when they put the first layer of makeup on me, because they did the makeup in stages to kind of make it look like I was gradually being dissolved by this acid shower.
Yeah.
And I think the best was when I had that first layer of makeup on, and I got in the shower, and they were like, okay, we're gonna like record the audio, so if you could scream, we'll get the audio. And then just doing that, and I think them not expecting it to be as loud as it was, and they were like, okay, that's great. You don't need to do that again. It's really hurting our ears.
Yeah. You're over there like, yeah, I did that. What about it? What about it?
Yeah. Because it was so gross. They had little pieces of latex they kind of stuck on there, so I could peel them off. And
the goo.
Just getting to go 100% like over the top, dramatic, loud. Because that's not what I'm really like in person either. I think talking to me, I'm pretty, chill and nice and friendly, and people are always surprised I even like horror movies as much as I do. But then just getting onto that set and just kind of giving it my 100% most fucked up all was really satisfying.
Yeah. Can we hopefully maybe see you in some like other roles? Maybe. Or maybe you being like...
I'm down to get murdered in any horror movie ever. If like they want to put me in a saw trap, I will do it.
You know what? The next one, it's coming out next year. So I feel like it's not too late to shove Chelsea into
please. Something. I would love... It's weird. I was just talking to someone about like voice acting and acting in general, and I love on-screen acting. I don't ever think I would want to like carry a movie. I don't think I could ever be the main character of anything. That just is not... I just don't think that's where my strengths would be. I love the idea of being like a character actor though, or doing bit parts where, or just like, or like villain acting where I'm in like tons of makeup and stuff, kind of like what Bonnie Aarons does. I have the nun behind me.
Oh, hi,
this
Bonnie.
little action figure. Bonnie, something like that, I think is really appealing.
Yeah, I would love to see you in something like that, especially if you wanted, because Bonnie was in Jacob's Wife.
Yeah, she was in.
I
she's
didn't
the
even
master.
know that was. I didn't even know that was her.
I know. She looks. I mean, she's in full Nosferatu get up. She looks incredible.
Yeah, I want to see you like that.
I would. Oh my gosh,
Let's
I would
make
love
it happen.
That.
I don't know anybody, but I know you. You know anyone?
Right. Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up, you were in Scream 5, which is pretty fucking gnarly. How I know you talked a little bit on the like kind of update episode that you did with the marriage, which congratulations. I was a little offended that I wasn't like the flower ghoul,
oh
just
my
throwing
gosh.
roses.
Oh man, I wish we thought of that.
Yeah, just go back in time and email me. So how was just, I guess, seeing yourself in IMAX?
So weird. It's like, I think the coolest thing about it was that since we filmed it ourselves, so we have like a brief cameo in Scream 5, and it's me and my husband James basically playing a parody of our own YouTube channel. And so we just filmed it on our set and sent it to them. And it was great because I could pick all the takes. I could pick what I thought we sounded best in and where we both looked the best and sent that in. So there wasn't the anxiety of like, oh God, I hope I didn't sound stupid or I hope I don't look stupid because I picked it. So it's... I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah.
So I think that was a neat kind of first speaking role in a big movie like that because I had so much control over it, so I didn't have to lose any sleep. I don't know, it was kind of neat seeing the context of it too, because they sent us our lines, and you know, from that we couldn't glean too much about what the story was. And then a few months later, they sent us a kind of rough cut of us comped in to where we were going to be because we're on like a laptop screen. James and I watched that clip so many times, like, I don't know, like forensics detectives trying to figure out who's watching the computer. Who do we hear in the back? Because we can hear a voice in the background. Someone's like on the phone in the background. Who is that? Is it Hayden Panettiere? No, we were convinced it was Hayden Panettiere for like months.
I love that she's going to be in 6 too.
I know,
I'm so
me
excited.
too.
Okay.
Me too. I don't know anything about Scream 6. I'm not just saying that because of an idea. Like, I have no idea. I'm not involved at all. So
blink twice if no.
No, I truly, like, I know nothing. So it's gonna be cool, like, having it be a total surprise. But yeah, I mean, even for us being briefly in that last one, it was still like, it was cool watching the puzzle pieces come together of like whatever we could glean from that one very short scene we were in, and then also seeing how wrong we were about who was actually in that part.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. I mean, hopefully we can see you. I mean, I feel like it's never too late to, if Chelsea wasn't at it and James, you know, throw him in the beginning of a scene, maybe in Scream 6 or, you know, some point, even background character number 4, which, like, you know, give us something. Give us something.
That's some of my only IMDb trivia is that I was an extra in
I did
Harold
see
and
that.
Kumar 3D.
I was like, come on, guys, we gotta update. Let's add a little something.
My friend put that there like years ago. It's just that's like old ass IMDb trivia that one of my friends from high school put there. Yeah, I'm like very prominently an extra in that though. If you watch Harold and Kumar 3D, you'll see me. Like I'm there.
You said I got a big role.
Yeah, I have a very big role standing next to a beer pong table that they're playing beer pong at, and watching a CGI ping pong ball bounce off a bunch of stuff.
I do want to bring up the fact that you have stated before that you are going to be producing a movie.
Yes.
So do tell what you can tell about that, how that process is. Because I know you said before you just do not like writing that. I'm
not much of a writer, no. I can edit stuff though. I like giving notes on things. I can help rewrite. I'm good at that. But as far as coming up with something totally from scratch, it's just not my... I've tried to maybe think or tried to believe like, no, I could write something if I really... Like, my brain doesn't work that way. I know so many people who are writers and they're like, I have so many stories I need to just get out of me. And I'm like...
That's me.
Yeah, you're like, I see, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh man, if I just thought really hard about, you know, a cool story, maybe I could come up with something, but that just that's not how my brain works. Yeah, so this movie I'm producing is called Pre-Game, and it's a horror comedy about the school rivalry between the University of Michigan, which is where I went to college with James, and Ohio State, which is like a very, very old, specifically football rivalry, although it's not like a football movie. There's no football played in it at all that we see. It's more the school rivalry and like tribalism and stuff. So yeah, it's like a college kind of, think of like a Happy Death Day or Freaky kind of is the tone that we're going for. But yeah, there's not much I can say other than we're producing it and there's people tentatively on board, but it's all stuff I have to be kind of sneaky about. I can't really say anything.
You don't want to put too much into existence, because then it feels like, well, like even with writing, I'm like, I need to pick up on my writing, because if I talk all about these stories I have in my head, then I'm not going to get to it. So
I feel like I've always heard that advice where it's like, if you want to get something done, just tell someone that you're doing it or that you're working on it, and then you'll feel that for me, that makes it worse. I feel like if I tell someone, like, I'm going to do this, and then there's that pressure, like, oh, fuck, I got to actually do this, and then, or else that person or people are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
It makes me less likely to finish that thing. I don't know why.
It just makes me anxious, if anything.
Yeah. It takes a lot of joy out of whatever that thing is, I think, is maybe what happens.
With Dead Meat, the kill counts, and also the podcast, and just kind of doing those things for the past almost half a decade, has any of that process been taken into the consideration of this movie? Like, have you thought about, like, you know, you reviewing all these things and doing all this research, has that been like, oh, I need to apply that to the movie process, the movie making process? Has any of that kind of been thought of?
Yeah, totally. James and I know that making this movie, there's going to be already like expectations, right, of what it's going to be. And part of that is, yeah, because we review horror movies and we write about horror movies, and our career, like our livelihoods, are talking about other people's horror movies and what we like about them, what we don't like about them, what we think, you know, maybe could be better about a movie while we're reviewing it. And so there is that weird pressure of like, okay, we're making something, so let's see if we, you know, if we can talk the talk and walk the walk kind of thing. But I think, you know, as much as like there's that pressure, there's also that kind of the fun of knowing that we can use that pressure and that expectation to push it a little bit in terms of how violent we're allowed to be and how like explicitly horror this thing can be.
Yeah.
Because sometimes studios are leery of something that is maybe more violent or something that is very genre, and we're able to be like, look, if people are going to come see this because they know that we're involved, they're going to expect it to be gory as fuck, because that is how we've made our living.
Yeah, no cutaways, no cutaway kills.
Right. Like, there have to be crazy kills, and there have to be a decent amount of them, because that's literally the kind of house that Dead Meat was built on. You know, that's like the foundation of what...
the golden chainsaw.
Exactly.
We can't have no dull machetes, baby. We gotta be golden chainsaws.
Yeah. So for us, that's fun, because we can then be like, well, you kind of have to let us go a little crazy, or else people are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and people are going to come see the movie if it's graphic. If y'all don't do this, then, you know, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah. So it's a simultaneous, like, nervousness that, yeah, it's kind of the Dead Meat name and our reputation as, like, horror people, critics, whatever, is, yes, riding quite a bit on something like this, but also it's the excitement that we can use that as an excuse to get really weird and fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for whenever it's called. Have y'all
Pre-game.
like pre-game? Have y'all explicitly said the title before?
I don't know if we have, and who knows if that's gonna change. But for now, that's
an
what it
exclusive.
is. Exclusive.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
You know, if you need, you know, a tree in the background, a bush, background character number 4, please let me know. I will fly out there.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to pay me nothing. I will do it. So.
Oh man, I really hope that it's, you know, it gets made soon. Again, it's the weird, we're in the like stage of producing it where I like being on the creative end of producing something. Again, like I love giving script notes. I like, you know, helping with, we've gotten some concept art done for like the general look feel. I love all that stuff. Casting, great. Then now we're in like the we need money phase, and that's very the business phase of it, where it's like, yeah, okay, but this is all great, but we need the numbers on a sheet kind of thing. And that's where I'm just, it's just, it's not what I have experience in. We have people that's beyond just me and James trying to make this thing. It's mostly in their hands now, honestly. It's also where I'm just like, I feel like that picture of the dog dressed like a scientist at the chemistry set. Do you know, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm the dog where the fire's happening in the background, and I'm like, I'm just here. Yeah, this is me sliding a note over to Shudder, being like, hey, just a little suggestion here if you want to be an original.
But yeah, besides that, I can't say too much else about it.
Well, I'll make sure to review it when it happens. And I will come to the premiere if I don't know how that will happen. I will make an outfit. I will make an outfit.
That would be incredible.
I'll be a football if I need to.
Yeah. You could be like a creepy like cheerleader or something.
I mean, in some world, this probably is a creepy cheerleader. So I will. You know what? Yeah, if you need a dead drag queen cheerleader in the movie in the background, let me know. Let me know.
I will.
Okay, so I did ask you a specific question because I thought that it kind of would take a little bit more time to think of. I talked about a book, which is The Essential Horror Movies by Michael Mallory. Shout out to Michael. Don't know who you are. You're probably lovely. And he offers a lot of great movie recommendations from like the 20s up until the 10s, really, until 2012. But I guess that's kind of when the movie was published because we don't really see anything after kind of like Paranormal Activity. So I want to ask you, what do you think are some horror films from 2013 to up to now that you think are some like essential movies for like people to maybe even get into, or if they need to do their, you know, if you're really going to be a fan, you need to watch this movie. So
because it's crazy that book, it seems like it stops right before a very dramatic shift in horror and what is popular right now, and kind of this, I think, golden age that we're in. I think there's so much amazing horror stuff out there right now, and we're so lucky to be living through it. I mean, I think one of the first big movies that kicks off this kind of current wave is The Babadook, which, what year did that come out?
I want to say 2014.
I think it was like 2014, yeah. And The Babadook, I think, is the, like, first big horror movie that I can think of where it's doing the, what we kind of all call, and we hate it, but it is I guess now it's just what we know it as, the elevated horror type.
Yeah, big brain horror.
Big brain horror.
You need to have wrinkles on that brain to know what's happening.
Yeah, no smooth brain horror.
Brains.
Yeah. It's like a movie that is clearly, it's about something, right? And it's like, it's very, I want to say, like, it's not like a slow movie, but it's like very thoughtfully paced, and it's not about the big scare moments. It's not about the gore. It's like a very, you know, it's like a very meditative movie that is clearly, you can sit with it and chew on it, and there's something to really, it's like it's a movie you can sit and analyze. It's not meant to be a horror movie where you shut your brain off and it's a popcorn.
Yeah. Unless you're Logan Paul, then that brain's just not working, and the most simple shit just goes right over your head. So
that, and I mean, also around the same time, I think like 2012 or 13 is The Conjuring too, and The Conjuring is not as much of like what I would call the elevated horror, but it's still, there's like the hallmark, like you kind of get it's within the same like sensibility. There's like, if they were like if it was a Venn diagram and it was like The Conjuring and The Babadook, there's totally an overlap there where it's like The Conjuring, I don't even think anyone dies. I forget if anyone even dies in it.
I don't think anyone dies in The Conjuring.
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of, it's got this like slowness to it, although there are some fucking scares in that movie that I think are incredible. And it's more of like a character thing where it's about this family and it's about the Warrens, and stylistically it's not the same kind of gore fest type flick that maybe we'd been getting, you know, early 2000s is like torture porn and that kind of subgenre. So I think that, then like Get Out, I think is one of the biggest, like, you know, I think Babadook is like, trying to think of like a good comparison. If you're gonna say like Halloween and what it did to horror is like Get Out, Texas Chainsaw is kind of like the Babadook, where there's like a lot of the DNA of Get Out you can kind of also see in the Babadook, but Get Out is the one that I think like really, really kind of started to change what was popular in horror and what was seen as like marketable and what so many people have since tried to imitate. And that's when we start getting people calling it elevated horror. It's like, oh, this is kind of like a subgenre now.
Yeah. And I think that the main thing that I do like about kind of the mid 2010s to like the 2020s right now is I feel like, maybe I'm just stupid, but I feel like we have been getting a lot more original kind of stories, a little bit more original horror.
Yeah, totally.
That I enjoy, you know. I mean, the 80s and the 90s were just remakes or not remakes, sequels, and then the early 2000s to even sometimes now, we're kind of still getting those remakes. Kind of like that we're stepping more into the direction. Like, I loved Malignant. I love that Malignant movie. You were Gabriel for Halloween.
I was Gabriel for Halloween.
I love that fucking movie. People were like, this movie is stupid. And I was like, the girls who get it, and those who don't.
It's like, it is stupid. That's why it's awesome. That's why it's so much fun.
I remember watching it with my friend Jaleesa. Jaleesa loves Dead Meat too. Shout out to Jaleesa. But we were like, this movie fucking rocks. This movie rocks, you know?
If anything, even if you watch Malignant and you hate every second of it, you have to at least appreciate that James Wan, because he made Aquaman and made Warner Brothers a bunch of money, was then able to be like, hey, give me some money to make this thing that I want to make. And they were like, all right, dude, here you go. You made Aquaman, so one for you, one for me kind of thing. Yeah. Here's your budget to make Malignant. And he just did whatever the fuck he wanted, and it's such a treat.
Yeah. That's honestly like one of my favorite movies in recent years. Like, I just now started getting back into going to theaters, and I saw Nope a few times. That was a very fun movie experience, and I don't know, and X is also like something fun, and I don't know, I kind of, those are some things that I would definitely recommend. And Get Out too was, I think what you said, it kind of is the standpoint where I remember when Babadook came out, and my mom was watching it with me. She's not listening right now, but she was like, can we watch something else? I'm bored. And I understand.
Yeah, same with like the Ari Aster kind of, because that's another, I think Hereditary is another huge one. Like, I think the double whammy of Get Out and Hereditary, I forget they were the same year, but they were like pretty damn close to each other. I think those are like the
2017 or 2018. I think Hereditary was definitely 2018, I think.
Was it? God.
Or 2019.
Why do I feel like it was older than that? Maybe it's just time is... Hereditary. Yeah, 2018. Wow. Okay, maybe time's not going by as fast as I think it is, which is a good thing. Yeah, that movie also just like really solidified like, oh, this is what horror fans maybe are craving right now. And I think, you know, for better and worse, because I think a lot of the kind of like quote unquote elevated horror type stuff that's come out in its wake, a lot of it I don't think is that good, because I think it just misses the mark of what something like Hereditary or Get Out is.
Yeah.
It's paced like they're paced like they are for a reason. They are serious like they are. I mean, Get Out is much different in tone than Hereditary, but they, you know, I guess like Hereditary is dramatic like it is for a reason. It's like it's a very well thought out story, and there's so much heart to it. And then you get, you know, people who maybe just kind of take the style and aren't necessarily, you know, there's not that same kind of thoughtful like script or kind of backbone to it.
Yeah, and it's more like
those
they're
are
kind
a
of
slog.
just implicating what they think might be like kind of like a big brain movie. You know?
Like
Like for me, Mother was kind of on the tier of that. Did you ever see Mother?
I did see Mother.
Yeah. It just made me anxious.
Yeah,
I understand what the movie's supposed to be, but it just made me anxious. Like, I understand what some of these directors are wanting, but it's not like, maybe they're just too smart, and I feel like sometimes I'm like,
I think, I mean, that's how I felt about Men, the like new Alex Garland, and I normally really like Alex Garland, but that one felt like what you kind of are talking about, where it's like, this is like a very big serious idea, and I'm gonna make a movie about this very serious idea, and it just kind of I don't know, it just, I think when you're kind of, I don't know, it just didn't quite work for me.
Yeah.
Maybe because it is like too obvious. And yeah, I did have a moment like you just said where I'm like, is this really obvious, or do I just think it's really obvious because I'm dumb and I don't get it? Like, is it just is it too far removed from what I'm able to kind of analyze about it? But I don't know.
Yeah, I would just say, if you're a director and you're listening, or producer, it's good to have us think, but don't make us burn rubber with our brain cells rubbing against each other, you know?
Yeah, or if you're going to, I guess it's the difference between making something like that where it is, you can tell that it's an idea that I think challenges the person making it and the challenges the director, and is maybe something that's genuinely like eating them up inside a little bit, or is something they spend a lot of time thinking about, or is something that personally really affects them. That's why I think Get Out is so damn good, because it's clearly made from personal experience. It's made with heart, there's intention, and versus kind of coming up with an idea where it's like, oh, this would be like something really deep, and you can tell it's maybe not very personally related to the person making it, and that maybe they just came up with it because they're like, this is what this kind of horror movie should be like, and then they dress it up in all the clothes of a smart air quotes horror movie, and it just doesn't have the same,
pretentious, that's the word.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little too pretentious. Sometimes we need to get, like, on House, we need to get a 10-year-old in the room and tell us what they think is scary. And kind of go from there. Wanted to, congratulate you on the Dead Meat Awards 2022. You hosted the Dead Meat Awards. What was the main importance for you and James to have that? I personally know what it is. Well, I might know what it is, but I want to ask you, like, what was the initial thing that led up to doing that?
I think the big thing is how overlooked horror often is during award season. It's still as much as every time a horror movie or horror adjacent movie gets nominated for Oscars, like for example, yet again, Get Out, nominated for original screenplay and actor. I'm trying to remember what else it was nominated for. It might have just been screenplay.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I know it
can't
went
remember.
screenplay for sure.
Yeah, I feel like whenever that happens, horror fans are always like, is this finally us being taken a little bit more seriously? And it does. And I feel like we're usually kind of disappointed after the kind of novelty wears off of something like that getting more mainstream acclaim, which is really frustrating. And we wanted to kind of have this award show to not only talk about just the movies that get overlooked, but the people who make them, and even coming up with our own categories that we feel are overlooked, beyond genre, like stunt actors are hideously overlooked by awards. And because when you think about it, we think about the okay, an actor plays, I don't know, like think of like any superhero. They all have stunt doubles, and so technically you have those people playing those characters as well. They're not the face, they're not the speaking performance but it's part of what makes that character believable in the world that they inhabit, is this certain kind of physicality, especially those like superhero movies that are so huge right now. It's like, it's kind of wild to me we just overlook the whole area of stunts in general.
It's over kind of 50% of the movie, especially even like CGI and things like that. I feel like people don't really, especially Marvel. Now, Marvel, if you want to book me or Chelsea for any gig, we take this back. But
right, I'll rewrite all of my own. I'll delete all my past tweets.
Yeah, but in this connotation, I feel like they're overworked at this moment. I do like that y'all did highlight, best kind of graphics during the Dead Meat Awards. Yeah,
because I think on Dead Meat we do often kind of we'll complain when you can tell something is obviously CGI, especially a horror movie. I think for horror, you have to really feel like something is actually there to feel frightened by it. It's why the original, like John Carpenter's The Thing.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I was gonna say the original Thing, which isn't true. The Thing is a remake.
It is,
People often forget, but that movie still works all these years later because you feel like you could touch all the stuff in it, and it adds to the fear, even if maybe something feels like it could you can tell it's like an animatronic or a puppet, there's still something about that makes any kind of scare so much more effective, because it feels like it's something that realistically could like maybe grab you or you know touch you.
I agree. Like
yeah.
I don't care if it might not even look best. I don't care if it's goosebumps, but to me, it kind of looks real to me. I don't know.
But we still, with the award show, wanted to have a category for visual effects like CG and computer graphics and stuff, because when it's used well in horror and when you effectively can't tell that there is any CGI is when it's amazing and I think is so cool. Like Malignant, there's, I think, very light some like light CGI done in that film, and although a lot of it is animatronic, like the like Gabriel and the stunt woman who is playing Gabriel running around backwards essentially. It's like A Quiet Place. There's a ton of CGI in that, but that I think works pretty well. It like, it helps stitch the movie together. So there is totally a place for it. And so we also wanted to highlight that to avoid being totally one-sided on it, because I don't think that's fair either.
Yeah. Movies.
I fucking love movies, man. They're hard to make. It's a miracle any movie gets made, period.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is like, even if a movie sucks, it's crazy that it got made. And that's kind of also part of my philosophy as a reviewer too, is like, they all made a movie and I didn't, regardless of how much I like or dislike something. Even if I fucking hate something, I still have like such a profound respect for the people who've made it. Yeah. Even if I'm like, man, this sucks and I really didn't like it.
Even if it's Predator Island.
Oh my God. Predator Island. A masterpiece, though. Let's be real.
Would we, hopefully see maybe another Dead Meat Awards in 2023? Or
totally, yeah. We want to make it a yearly thing, so
hopefully
that's like we're set on it.
If you need background character number 4,
Oh my God. I want to find a way to make some kind of drag performance part of it. That can be like the Oscars when they do like the best original song.
Oh, yeah, and they have them dancing.
Yeah, they sometimes just bring in dancers, and it's like, what? This is all right. This is 5 hours long. It's fine.
Oh my God,
I love that shit. I'm sad whenever they don't do that. I think they should do more of it.
The Men in Black one, and I was like, this is so ridiculous, but I kind of live. So.
Oh, have you seen the Ghostbusters one? Is incredible, from like the 80s, where they did an Oscars performance. I think it was at the Oscars. It's real good.
I think you got most of my questions down, unless you have something you need to say right now.
No, I think I don't know. This has been like a fun kind of like trip back through like what James and I have kind of built together, and I don't know, I always like just sitting and talking about horror with people.
Yeah, but I also wanted to, be like, what's Chelsea up to? Because I was trying to look for interviews with you, and I wasn't coming across too. I've seen interviews of you interviewing people, but I was like, I need more spotlight on Chelsea.
I appreciate that.
Because I honestly, this is just my opinion, I think that you don't get enough recognition. And I think, however, I do think you are on your climb. Like, I think graphs go this way, I think, on your camera. You are on an uphill thing.
Yeah.
I'm really good at analogies, as you can see. And I just, I think you deserve your flowers, so.
Oh, thank you. That's really, really sweet of you. Thank you.
So if you need a background no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, is there anything that you would like to plug?
I mean, the Dead Meat podcast is every other Wednesday on Dead Meat and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes. And if you want merch, go to deadmeatstore.com.
Deadmeatstore.com. We've got some new merch coming up soon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to say, but you designed the merch.
I designed some of it.
Some of the merch, yes.
We have some new stuff coming that I did not design because it takes me way too long to design things. I really like drawing things, but then I realized, like, I'm not a professional, and while I can do this, it takes me so fucking long, and I finally was like, someone else needs to do these or else we're never coming out with any new merch.
It's like you making the donut and blend.
Yes,
you said I can make a donut.
Blender. It'll take me 8 hours, but I can make you a donut in Blender. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I'm Terrah Card. That's TerrahCard. If y'all want to follow me on anything, it's mainly on that on most platforms, except for on Twitter. Okay, me and Chelsea, we got beef with Twitter. Twitter will not verify Chelsea, and Twitter took down my original account. So
what happened?
Well, when you're a drag queen, you kind of want to like show yourself off and be like, "Look, I did this performance." Yeah. And DMCA does not like that, so they just take your account down.
Get you. Yeah.
I even did that with my new account, and it actually did suspend my recent account right now.
Oh, shit.
But I like tried to fight for it, and I got it because I performed a Missy Elliott song, which she did see, and she followed me. So shout out to Missy Elliott.
Wait, really? Oh fuck, that's so cool.
Yeah, but I had to take the video down. So
I love Missy Elliott. I am like obsessed with. Like when she was huge, I mean, we're like peak Missy Elliott. I was obsessed with her music videos because they're fucking creepy.
Yes.
And I would love a Missy Elliott produced horror anything, like horror movie, a game. I don't fucking care. I think she has such a specific aesthetic and like sensibility for like, I don't know. There's something that is like...
She's a weird kid. She was like such a representation. She's a weird kid. And she's a genius.
I really think she's a genius. Like,
I'm going to clip this and post it on Twitter, so hopefully she will see it.
Oh my God, please.
Missy Elliott, make a horror movie.
Let us produce a horror movie for you, Missy Elliott.
God. Yeah, and then you can find this podcast, Stay on the Line, on most platforms under Stay on the Line TC on Twitter, Stay on the Line Podcast on Instagram. And when I post to Facebook, because, you know, Facebook is just so popular nowadays. No one's calling it Meta. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, it's under Stay on the Line there. Until next time, I'm Terrah Card.
And I'm Chelsea Rebecca.
And make sure you stay on the line.
Bye.
Bye.